What's up, paralegal bosses? Thank you so much for joining me in today's video where we're going to have an amazing conversation with Miss Etta Rosa of Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. We're going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be talking about the ABA's well-being pledge campaign that they need to revise to include legal professionals, not just lawyers. We're going to challenge the ABA on that today, guys. We're also going to be talking about negativity bias and how it affects us as professionals, productive, efficient professionals. If you don't know what the Wellbeing Pledge campaign is about, if you don't know anything about negative bias, then you definitely want to stay tuned for today's episode. In addition, we're also going to be sharing some staggering statistics about the mental health of legal professionals. We're going to be learning the percentage, the ratios of how people are being affected with alcoholism, with depression, with anxiety, stress, all of it. We're going to be giving those statistics today and showing how badly we really need more mental health resources for the legal profession. And by legal profession, I don't just mean lawyers, I mean us too. I mean paralegals. And now that the ABA has changed that definition of what a paralegal is, then we need the ABA to do more about the mental health of our paralegals. So if all this sounds awesome and amazing and something you want to listen to today, then smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's dive into things today. Etta, thank you so much for coming back on my YouTube. Everyone, you guys know Miss Etta Rosa, Let's Talk Paralegal. She has an amazing platform. And, you know, when it really comes to sharing the information about growth in this industry and about bridging that gap between college and first-time job, Etta Rosa is on the forefront of this march. So first and foremost, thank you for doing that. And I'm really excited to have you on here today because we're talking about a really important topic. A couple weeks ago, I got really vulnerable and posted about, you know, the things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, you know, being a paralegal. And I think that now that the ABA has recognized us as being professionals in this industry and transitioning that definition, you know, we have some organizations out there for, you know, the well-being of lawyers, but where do paralegals stand in all of that? And I was reading a blog, we were talking about a blog that I was reading, and we've got all of these resources that are coming out for attorneys. And that's absolutely fabulous because the statistics are staggering. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But I read in this article, which I'll post a link in the description box below, but it said, despite a plethora of resources available at several large firms today, including on-site mental health professionals and wellness applications, many have not extended their mental health resources firm-wide. And a survey recently found that 30% or 36% of firms say they offer mental health programming, but they do not extend those programs to professional staff. So how do you feel about that as a paralegal working for as long as you have in this industry?
I feel like the supporting staff also feels the pressure, right? So the law firm in general is what I like to call the family, right? We're a family. The lawyers are the parents, and we're basically the children because they help, you know, provide our needs by financial and benefits if you're a full-time employee and things like that. So that's really how I look at any industry, really, a real thriving industry, company that really cares about their employees is like a family, like the JM family, right? We all know the JM.
A cohesive unit.
Yes. And so what happens is we understand that the attorney carries the burden, most of the burden when it comes to running that business and strategizing and providing the advice necessary in order to get to the case to where it needs to be and where the client can be satisfied. You know, obviously we have to compromise a lot sometimes in law. Sometimes the law is against us, sometimes it's for us, but then opposing party comes along and brings us some surprises. So that just is the legal industry in a nutshell. However, the supporting staff really suffers a lot as well, right? Because
Yeah.
at the top is suffering. How do you think the other people are suffering? Looking at them
Trickle down.
and paying the price because of that suffering, right? And after a while, depending on the dynamic that you have between the attorney and the supporting staff, especially if you've been there for years, you kind of get what I call the comfortable zone, right? Where they get very comfortable with you, and that can be a good thing, but that can also be a bad thing because
Yeah.
then they treat you literally like family. And that's where the constructive criticism can sometimes go into what I like to call the mental abuse, right? It's no longer, here's what you did wrong, this is how we can improve it, maybe next time we can do it this way. It's more like, you did this wrong, and da 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 da, and you're always doing this, and I'm telling you this is like the umpth time that I'm telling you this, why can't you get it right? And there's a major difference between those two concepts. So definitely I feel we
Yeah.
carry the burden as well.
Yeah, I mean, I looked into the paralegal profession and what resources we have that is available to us. And my Google search went for on and on and on and on and on because there really isn't anything out there specifically for us, not through NALA, not through any of our own organizations. And but something interesting that I came across, and we talked about this once before, was the well-being pledge campaign that the
Yes.
ABA does. And for those of you who don't know about that campaign, it's something that I believe they've been doing since 2018.
Right.
They've recognized the need for well-being in law, and the again, the statistics are pretty staggering. So I actually want to read those statistics. 36% of legal professionals qualify as having problems with drinking.
Wow.
28% reported having problems with depression.
Mm.
23% reported mild or higher stress symptoms. 19% reported mild or higher anxiety symptoms. And I think one of the most staggering, most of all, was the suicide, which was ranked in the top 10. It was ranked number 8 in a study of suicide by occupation, which is a rate of 1.3 times the national norm.
Yeah.
And that was pretty staggering to read.
Right.
And so I think that now that the definition has changed, I think now that the ABA is really recognizing us as professionals in this industry, I think that we need to extend this pledge out and kind of revise it in a way. So let me read this pledge. So, the primary vehicle for the campaign is a pledge calling upon legal employers, including law firms, corporate entities, governmental agencies, legal aid organizations, to first, A, recognize that substance use and mental health problems represent a significant challenge for the legal profession, and acknowledge that more can and should be done to improve the health and well being of lawyers. And
Mm.
B, pledge to support the campaign and work to adopt and prioritize its 7-point framework for building a better future. And again, I'll link this in the description box below. But instead of it just saying for lawyers, perhaps we could extend this and say for, the
Legal
legal
professionals.
professionals, now that we're designated in that area.
Right. No, and it's been an ongoing thing. This is not something that came out of the air. This has been, you got to understand, the legal profession is in general a very stressful environment. We deal with legal matters for clients. We don't deal with their health. Thankfully, we're not medical providers. That's a whole different ballgame. But we do deal with their legal matters, and with that comes emotion and human interaction, just like anything else, right? So I'm going to give you an example of one case that I will carry for me forever. And it was one of the most recent ones, actually, towards the tail end of my full-time career. And it even extended to my freelance because I offered my services so that I can finish this case. And it was this little girl. I had my little girl, almost around the same age as my daughter. They were on a boat, and they were having a great time. Unfortunately, the driver got a little, out of hand and started swerving the boat. And all of a sudden, boom, hits the little girl. At that time, she was only 4, hits her right in there, creates a concussion, nerve, everything, you name it. The life of that family will never be the same.
No.
Now, to top it all off, not that I'm saying it makes matters worse, the child was very gifted, top of her class, was the highest ranked gymnast and cheerleader in her class. And so she was really going on a straight line to the top, right?
Yeah.
So she had to relearn, just to give you an idea, how to talk, how to walk, how to learn everything, right? So this case was super impactful for me, and I wasn't even part of the family.
Right.
Only imagine the parents of this child that is going to these sessions with her, hoping and praying and, asking all these relatives and friends and sponsors to please assist them in this medical treatment. Now, the worst part about this is that the insurance only covers so much, right? We're
Right.
only susceptible to that. And of course there's umbrella insurances and other things and other assets we can go after, but at the end of the day, it'll never replace what was lost.
No.
Okay, thankfully she's still alive, and she, till this day, she's a beautiful girl. And I still follow up with the family because they are true to me, and I was very dedicated to this case. And
But
so,
that's just it. We carry that with us too.
yes, but we carry that with us. And
Mhm.
that is, they become our family as well. We
Yeah.
feel for them. I have known legal professionals to go to these funerals, to go to these
Yes.
treatments, to assure that the examination is being done properly and according to the law. Like, this is how far a legal professional that is dedicated to their profession
Mhm.
goes the extra mile, if that's what you want to call it. For us, it's our job, just like a medical provider,
Yeah.
just like anybody else, right? We do
Yeah.
our job. And if that's part of our job, that is what we're going to do. But that again plays a toll on our mental health as well. Looking
Right.
at these pictures, looking at these videos, creating these exhibits for the trial, really bringing that story to life so that
Mhm.
we can present it to the jury that has no knowledge, little to no knowledge of
Mhm.
medical
The
translations or legal
terminology and all of
terms.
that.
Like,
Yes.
they have, these are lay persons, these are
Mhm.
everyday people walking, driving. It is what it is, but at the end of the day, it's our job to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for our client, whether it's the
Yeah.
insurance side or the patient side. It doesn't it Regardless, we're all working to get the same
We're
goal,
all
which is
working together. We're all working on the same case. We're all going to carry some sort of baggage from it, depending on the scenario that we're walking into in that
absolutely,
case. These cases can impact you greatly. One of the
absolutely.
reasons why I don't do criminal defense, one of the reasons why I don't do family law is because I can't handle that sort of mental pressure as well. Now I do have cases that are very difficult. I mean, I have rape cases. I have, in nursing homes, and that's hard. Oh my gosh, I represent, the family in those cases, and that's just so hard. So it takes its mental toll on us. And if it's taking its mental toll on them, it's taking the mental toll on us as well. And we all have different skill sets, but the fact is, it's taking its mental toll. And I think that by bifurcating these services, that only giving them to the lawyers and not extending any of these resources to the paralegal professionals that are supporting all of these lawyers, you're really just doing a disservice, because it's the paralegals who are really, having to step up for the lawyers.
So, it's a concept, and well, not even a concept. It's a topic that really we need to work hard on. And I love your, I guess, your passion of the pledge and how you found it, and when you came with me with such like enthusiasm. And I think that's what's going to really make a change. Is we need to come together. We need to realize that this is an issue. Mental health is no
Yeah.
longer an option. Has to be mandatory,
Mhm.
and this has to be provided. And I feel like the medical industry is kind of, going that way, where they're including mental health before they didn't. And you
Right.
can see that through like the newer benefit options, for the big companies and things like that. So we are gearing to the right direction. direction, and slowly but surely we're getting to there. But I feel like, we always say it's not enough, right? I don't want to say that, because some progress is progress. But I do want to say, people out there that are looking into specializing in something, I feel like this is a really open playing field for you. Doing specialized therapy, I was having this discussion with my best friend, which is also happens to be a therapist. They are specializing in certain professions,
Mhm.
so everybody that's coming out, so that they can be competitive. It's the only way. It's no longer if you suffer of anxiety, depression, and bipolar. No, it's if you're a legal professional, if you're a medical provider, you go through other things, you see things, you experience different things. So if the mental health community and the medical providers are noticing these things to where they are taking the extra mile to get specialized in it, why
Mhm.
are we not doing that as well? Why are
Yeah.
we not going on that train and continuing that road to success? Because I feel like if we want to be successful in any way, shape, or form, we need to tackle our inner preparation, which is what I call it. We need to tackle our mental health, where we are at. I feel like we get so caught up in the chaos of the world
Yeah.
and the caseloads and the clients and the colleagues that we never focus on us. We always forget about us. We either forget to eat, we skip meals, or we eat too much, or we just stop by a fast food because we have no time. That's our excuse. I don't have the time. There's not enough time. I am too busy. Whatever you want to call it, that is neglecting yourself. And that is something that needs to change. And it has to come from you. Nobody else is going to help you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about, I know that you are working on a book. I'm so excited about it. I cannot wait to read it.
Thank you.
But specifically, there is a chapter in your book that talks about mental health. And I want to talk about some verbiage there in that chapter, specifically negative bias. For my listeners today who don't know what negative bias is, let's talk about negative bias, what it means, and how it affects us as professionals, as paralegals.
Right. So I'm going to simplify this, because obviously I did a lot of research, because if I'm going to put it in the book, I have to know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to simplify it in like one or two sentences. Basically, what negative bias is a chemical reaction in our brain that is natural. We are born with the chemical reaction. We all know about, flip the lid, and how the front forelobe of your brain doesn't really get fully developed until you're 25.
25.
Okay, good and dandy, right?
Mhm.
However, that has nothing to do with the chemical imbalances. So the theory of negative bias is a really intriguing one for me, especially because it was very personal to me, which is
Mhm.
why I looked into it, because it did happen to me. And I wanted to find out why. Why did it happen to me? How did it get that far? And how can I prevent it, in the future? So basically, what the actual negative bias means is it's a chemical reaction. So if you're constantly being told, know this, know that, kind of like when our children are younger, for those parents out there, when we keep saying no, 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 but we don't give them a reason as to
Mhm.
why, right? No, the stove is too hot. Don't touch it. No, don't do this because you're going to get hurt. No, you can't do that because we have other plans. So by adding that information, they're no longer just listening to the word no, right? They understand why. So same thing in the legal industry. No, you did this wrong. Kind of what we were talking about. You did this wrong. Okay, well, is there a template? Can I fix it? How do I fix it? In the next, what are your expectations? Asking those questions as well will prevent you from going down that rabbit hole.
Mhm.
But also, the leader has to put in their 2 cents as well, right? It has to be a team effort. It has to be a partnership. So what happens is your brain does this really weird thing where it says, "Oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you're doing
Mhm.
all this wrong. You shouldn't be a
Mhm.
paralegal. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You're just a mess up. All you're doing is messing up, and you're never going to make it. You're never going to amount to anything." So it goes to the complete opposite. And that's literally a chemical reaction that happens in your brain, because you're continuously hearing, "You did this wrong. I need you to do this again. You messed up here. Oh,
Mhm.
look at all these grammatical errors. Look at this. No, this is the wrong motion. No, this is the wrong thing. No, you gave me the wrong file. No, this is the wrong
Do
hearing."
you think that negative bias leads to an unconscious self sabotage, sort of, if you will? Like, I know that these mistakes have been happening, but I keep making them. And I just don't know why I can. Now, is that chemical imbalance there, that chemical reaction, is it having an effect on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's happening is it's kind of like that fight or flight kind of thing. So your
Yeah.
brain goes into that mode, and your conscious mind is no longer making sense, right? You're no longer making sense. You're no longer there. You're no longer able to make actual relative decisions. You're no longer able to bring yourself back to normal and say, okay, why did I do this wrong? Is there something wrong with the template that they provided me? Is the error already in the template? Maybe we need to fix it. Or was a directive given wrong? Or did I misunderstand it? We stop questioning the why. We stop losing the what I call the curiosity mode, right?
Mhm.
So that's another concept that we talk about that goes with negative bias. So the curiosity mode is kind of like when we're children, where we see the world of wonder, and we always wonder, why does this do this and why does it do that, and oh, why is the sky blue or why is the grass green? So we lose that wonder, which again creates us to focus on all the negative bias. So
Okay.
yeah, it all comes back
It
together. It's
does. It all
all full
comes back.
circle.
Hmm. I see that a lot with paralegals, and especially paralegals who are usually working in smaller environments. They just feel down and defeated because they are just being nothing but criticized. And that there's just the lack of praise. I was having a conversation with my husband about praise because um, he had just done some stuff around the house, like unloaded the dishwasher, reloaded it, just kind of cleaned the
Oh
countertops
yeah,
and
like
stuff.
normal stuff that
And
you
I
should
was
always
like,
be doing.
and so I was like, thank you so much for doing that. And he was like, you don't have to thank me. I live here too. And I said, I know that. And he's always thought that that was kind of weird that I thank him for doing things around the house. But I said, here's the reason why. I thank you all the time for doing these things because I never want you to feel like you're not appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you for wiping your ass. I know I don't need to tell you that, but I'm going to because I want you to know I appreciate that you did that.
God, that's too funny. You're hilarious. That reminds me of when I was working and all of a sudden I was training a legal assistant to help me with the caseload because it was a huge case. It was a multi-billion-dollar case, and obviously I needed extra hands to handle the case. So I'm training her. I'm telling her what we need to do in order to get the case to where the attorney wants it to be. And all of a sudden she goes, you know what? Thank you for taking the time to actually explaining it to me and treating me like a human.
Yeah.
And I never thought about it that way. I never thought, hey, this is something that is probably not normal in the legal industry. We don't get sat down and trained and briefed on a case. We just go with the flow and
Go.
hope and pray that everything happens.
Hmm.
We want that communication factor. We want that focus. We want that one-on-one because it's not because well, yeah, of course we want it, but we actually need it in order to actually get you to where you want to be and get
Yeah,
the case where it needs to
we
be,
do.
and
We need it to thrive.
eliminating that miscommunication.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We need that feedback to thrive. But
Yeah.
for all of the negative feedback that you're giving your paralegals, lawyers who are listening to
Mm-hmm.
this, can you please give them some positive ones too? Because they
Right.
need the reinforcement to
They do.
continue to do the jobs that you need them to do.
Yes.
So, okay, well, I want to wrap up today talking about your podcast. Now you got Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. You finished season 1 and you're gearing up for season 2. I'm so excited about it. Tell us more.
Yeah, so season 2 is amazing. And actually, we have a podcast with Cindy Villanueva. It's going to be on season 2. And she's actually my first non legal professional on the podcast. But it's because she talks about knowing your worth, right? It goes back to the mental health aspect. And she's an author of a great book. If you haven't read it, please do. It's called Don't Fight Mad. And it's amazing. Check that book out. And she's amazing. You'll see her personality and the way she is, and very down to earth, but really straightforward. Like she's straight shooter. She tells you what it is, and she tells you how you can get to where you need to get to. So we do gear mental health a lot, just because it's a really big topic right now, and
It is.
it's something that it has been going unnoticed for way too long, and we really need to highlight that. We need to highlight that. If not, it's just not going to happen. And
But
yeah,
we
so we
need
have plenty of
organizations
guests.
like the ABA to assist us in highlighting that and changing the
Oh,
pledge.
yes, please. Thank you. Nala, if you can join the train, that
Do
would be great
something.
too. And the Federated Paralegal Association and everybody that can do it
Oh my God.
nationwide and have the legal network. I was talking about the legal network the other day because they're technically my competition, I guess. I don't know. I don't really look at competition that way.
No.
But we're in the same lane and we offer the same services as far as podcast wise. And they've been around for generations, even before my time. So, but we made it to number 2, right below them. And, I'm the first paralegal out there that actually did it on her own. And literally, it's just me. It's Etta Rosa LLC. Yes, I have wonderful sponsors. Shout out to my sponsors. But really, it's a one-woman show at that point. Yeah. And I'm the one that seeks the guests. I'm the one that does the production. I'm the one that does the recording. I'm the one that does everything.
Wearing all the hats.
Exactly. So it's really nice to see how the legal community has really supported the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast in that manner. And I see all the shares and I see everybody like talking about it and all the buzz, and we grew organically, which is what I'm really proud of. I didn't pay anybody to do it. There's no Google ad or Facebook ad or anything like that. It's really grown by what I call the Let's Talk Paralegal family. And we got to number 2. We're on number 7 on Google. We've got thousands of downloads and we're only 7 months old. So
oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I have not ventured into podcast world. I don't know that I ever will venture into podcast world. I really like
not
YouTube.
Easy. It's not easy. It's not easy, especially when you're doing a guest podcast, right? Because that's what's different about my podcast. I always have a guest on the show, and then I end the season with just me. And that's hard because anybody can just hit record and, talk about their content and creativity and everything, that all their projects and all that good stuff that comes along with it. But to bring somebody else on and share that moment, I think is what makes the podcast so magical.
Yeah,
really.
I absolutely agree. Well, I'm looking forward to listening to season 2, and I want all of my viewers to know about the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, and you should be listening to that podcast because like I said in the beginning, if anyone's helping me and helping this industry to bridge that gap, this podcast is for you. And there's such diverse guests, and there's so much that is talked about, in the profession, outside of the profession. And I think that it is an amazing service that is provided to our legal community, because I don't think that there's enough information out there for the type of work that we do, for the pressures that we have to deal with in this industry. And we have Facebook groups and forums and things that we can have conversations in. But I think that there's something just really comforting about, listening to these podcasts and watching these YouTube, episodes about the day in the actual freaking life.
Yeah, I know. We got to do a vlog sometime. I don't know. We have to do a vlog about our chaotic lives outside the behind the camera and behind what I call the microphone. And the best thing about the podcast as well is that you can see the guests, because we do stream it through, YouTube, and it's a wonderful experience. And you get to, oh, sorry, my dog is going crazy.
We all have dogs.
And so, so it's just I want it to be very conversational. I want it to be very inclusive. My guests, like you said, are very diverse. Yeah. And I like it that way because that's how my world looks like. And that's how I want the world to look like as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking like marketing, e-discovery, mental health. I mean, all of it. I mean, it's Absolutely. Such a diverse, topic of conversation always.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Exactly. So, well, awesome. Thank you again so much for taking the time out of your very busy all hats wearing day
Thank you.
And I know that, you've got Elsa bearing down on you. Good luck with that.
Thank you. I'll figure it out. We'll see. We always do. I've been here for a long time, so we got this.
I'm sure,
We
I'm
got the
sure you
shutters
do.
up, you know.
I'm sure you
But yeah,
do, but thank you for helping me also spread this word
yeah, for
about
sure.
the need to focus not just on mental health for the lawyers, but on mental health
Yes.
for the paralegals who are supporting the lawyers.
Yep.
They do have a different set of responsibilities that we do, but we are still therapists to our clients too, and we still
Of
carry
course.
that baggage just like they do, and we still dream about our trials. And we have I have an amazing support system at home. I'm pretty sure you have an amazing
I
support
have
system at
to. If
home,
not,
and
I
thank
wouldn't be able to
goodness you do.
survive. I have to. There's just no other. I always say this, and I have a YouTube video on that, on how the
Yeah.
support team is so important. So yeah.
And I'm glad that we have this support system with our family, but this is a support system as well. Support within
Absolutely.
the community, talking about this, supporting one another, helping to promote one another's platforms, because we all provide value in this industry to help the future of this industry and our future paralegals coming into this industry, I think.
Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. Can't agree with
Awesome.
you more.
All right. Well, have an amazing day, guys.